psalmist, a visionary. I approach the world with the eyes of an artist, the ears of a musician, the heart of a psalmist, and the soul of a writer. I see rainbows where others see only rain, and possibilities where others only see problems. I love spring flowers, a summer breeze, the beauty of the leaves as they fall, and snowflakes gently falling on my face. Who am I? I'm a woman of work.
GKH Furniture Repair and Restoration is a leader in providing expert furniture repair, on-site, in your home or office. Our advanced techniques and patented materials restore furniture to like new condition. Our areas of expertise include furniture refinishing, furniture repair, commercial furniture, and refinishing. For your convenience, we are available during regular business hours as well as weekends and evenings. Visit our website at www.gkhfurniturerepair.com or call 816-591-0946. GKH Furniture Repair and Restoration, professional, experienced and trusted for your furniture repair needs.
There are times in life when we need an exchange. We all need to change or exchange something or someone. What is most important is who we exchange with. My exchange.
In the matchless, marvelous name that is above every name. And that name, everyone, is Jesus Christ, our Lord, our Savior, our Master, our God, and our King. And I greet you in the matchless name of our Savior, Jesus Christ, to whom all praises and all blessings are due. And welcome to another evening of the Exchange Live. And I am your host, Dr. Jackie Hadnot. And I pray that you have had a wonderful day and that it has been productive and fulfilling and everything that you desired it to be. So tonight we're going to talk about a subject that is picking up from where we left off last week. And we talked about changing the mindset. And as we renew our mind, we have to look at the elements that have hindered us from being the most productive people that we can be. And sometimes we look at all of the elements that make up our lives. We look at the things that happened as we were children, and then bringing those things into our teens and then into our adulthood. And we have to look at all of those elements and ask ourselves, is anything keeping us from being the fullness of what God called us to be? So my subject tonight is this. First of all, I want you to know that you are empowered for greatness and that you are more than enough. For whatever life has thrown at you, you are still more than enough. For whatever has happened in your life, you are still more than enough. For all of the trials and the tribulations, you are still more than enough. For the sickness and the disease, more than enough. For any abuses and neglect, you are still more than enough. And sometimes we can say those words, I'm more than enough. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than this. And we speak those things, but do we really believe them? Because there are elements in our lives that have caused us to doubt who we really are, doubt who we are in God, doubt what we're called to do for God, doubt the greatness that's locked inside of us. See, there is so much locked inside of so many of us that we barely can pull out the very minute pieces and parts of what we're called to be and what we're called to do. Yes, I can go to my job and I can do my job well, but how is that affecting the greatness locked inside of you when you never push beyond just going to that job? Or you birthed a ministry and you're locked in that same place that you've done the same thing over and over again for the last 25 years, but you have never really launched out into the deep, into the depths of what God has called you to do, because there was a fear factor, and that fear factor said, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe I'm not powerful enough. Well, people said that I'm not enough. And then we believe the lies of the enemy coming through people, and we don't press forward. We don't push forward. And because of the things that had happened in our lives over the years, we began to look at ourselves as less than what God has called us to do and to be. And when I began to study this, I thought about there is one key element that keeps us from realizing our full potential, and that's our self-esteem. So you would ask, what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is an individual's subjective evaluation of their own worth. So when you evaluate your own worth and you minimize your own worth, you're lowering your self-esteem. Self-esteem encompasses beliefs about yourself as well as your emotional state. Now you have to understand your emotional state plays a big part in how far you go in life, because many people get so far into their destiny, and they stop. They get so far into the business or the ministry or a job or a relationship, and they stop because the emotional state is not healthy enough to sustain what we are called to do. Because God said in Jeremiah 29:11 that he knows the thoughts and plans that he thinks towards us, thoughts for hope in the future to give us an expected end. But when we minimize who we are, we minimize the glory of God working through us and the power of God working through us. So our emotional state plays a big part in our triumphs, our despair, pride, and shame, because all of those elements can hinder or push us forward. I remember when I grew up pretty much without my parents, because my dad died when I was 10, my mother died when I was 15. So growing up an orphan is a stigma all by itself. People really don't expect you to succeed or advance in life because you may not have the rooting and grounding that is needed to push you forward. For instance, young women, we have daddy issues that we don't deal with because we were not fathered. So we grew up with these daddy issues, and some young women, they go out and they find older men looking for that daddy to fulfill their lives that they didn't have. Well, when we start looking in the wrong places for that validation, what that does is that pushes our self-esteem lower and lower and lower, simply because we don't feel worthy, we don't feel good enough. And then, there are all those other elements of abuse, whether it be sexual abuse, emotional abuse. Any trauma will affect your self-esteem because we oftentimes don't process the things we go through. And because we don't process through them, we get stuck in them. Now, hear me again, because you don't process through a thing, you get stuck in that thing. And when we get stuck in it, it stunts our growth spiritually and emotionally. Stunted growth is stunted growth. It's like you're supposed to be 5'10" and your growth is stunted and you end up 4'10". Stunted growth is stunted growth. So low self-esteem, and this is what happens when we start looking at our self-esteem in a way that does not perpetuate our growth in any area of your life. So low self-esteem is characterized by, first of all, a lack of confidence in yourself. When you lack confidence in you, you lack confidence in the power of God working through you. When you lack confidence to go forward because you're always afraid and feeling bad about yourself, people feel bad about themselves and they hide behind a cloak of superiority. They hide behind being the life of the party. They hide behind having all these different relationships. If it's a woman, she has different relationships with different men. If it's a man, the same thing. But when we feel bad about ourselves, or the worst case scenario, we feel unlovable, that people don't love us, we feel awkward in any public situation, in social situations. So we shy away from being around people because we don't feel good enough. We feel incompetent. So we go on a job and we're always trying to prove ourselves because we really don't feel good about ourselves, because low self-esteem won't allow us to have the confidence in ourselves to move forward. And it's a very dangerous thing because it truly hinders your destiny. And when it hinders your destiny, guess what? You can't move forward. And guess what? Life is not fulfilling because you're going day to day, hour to hour, week to week, just trying to find the right answers. Low self-esteem is more than an unpleasant feeling, people. It takes a toll on our lives. And when it takes a toll on your life, it takes a toll on your destiny. And so many people don't even realize that they walk in low self-esteem. And here's my moment of truth for you. When I was growing up, because I didn't have my parents, I had a grandfather who was wonderful, who loved us and did the best he could be the age that he was. But because I was in a place where I didn't feel like I belonged, I didn't fit in, my self-esteem was low. My self-esteem wasn't in a place where I would accept only the best of everything. When your self-esteem is low, you settle. Women, we settle for men. Men, we settle for women. We settle for whatever come along, okay? You settle for a job that's not really the job you're supposed to have. You settle for an apartment and not a house. You settle. Because when we start to settle, it's because we don't feel like we're good enough. We don't feel like we're competent enough, we're pretty enough, we're tall enough, or short enough, or thin enough. Why so many people get into the state of anorexia is because they feel like they're too fat. So that's a lack of confidence and low self-esteem. So they don't do what's needed to build that self-esteem up. That's why they stop eating, or they start purging and they become bulimic. And all of these things happen because low self-esteem is an enemy to the greatness locked inside of you. When that low self-esteem hits you, let me tell you something. It will stop you dead in your tracks. And when it stops you in your tracks, it's stopping your destiny. It's stopping your growth. It's stopping your progress. It's stopping your joy and your peace. And it's stopping your joy in the Lord. Because when you have low self-esteem, it's going to zap your confidence. When you start thinking less of yourself, and again, settling for everything, what is it doing to your faith? Because you don't feel like you're good enough for God to bless you. So now God's trying to bless you in ways like never before, and you're not feeling like you're being blessed because you feel like you're always on the backside of the desert or the back burner. You feel like people are leaving you in positions of nothingness. If you break up with a relationship, and when you break up, oh, they didn't want me, I wasn't good enough. Or when you get fired from a job, oh, they didn't want me, I wasn't good enough. No, 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 no. It's not always about what you didn't do. See, we always take the low road and think that when our self-esteem is so low, everything is low. And everything is against us and everybody is against us. So we have to look at how low self-esteem is beating us upside our head. Some people's self-esteem is so low that they even contemplate suicide. They contemplate hurting themselves. They contemplate hurting others because low self-esteem says that I'm not good enough and nothing in this world is ever going to go right for me. So we take on that mentality. There are 4 basic levels of self-esteem. And what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper And because this is going to be your checklist for your self-esteem checkup. And the reason why I wanted to do this tonight is because it's a part of renewing your mind and your mindset. And when you renew your mind and your mindset, you can look honestly at yourself and say, yeah, I'm failing in my self-esteem issues. I'm failing in this issue. And I'm failing here and I'm failing there. You know, it is not necessarily a failure. It's just that we need to be awakened to the fact that we're not where we're supposed to be and being confident in ourselves. The Bible said in Psalm 27, David said one thing. He said, in this I will be confident. He was talking about the Lord. He said, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of all of my days. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the enemies and my foes came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. The war arise against me. My heart shall not fear. And he went on to say, in this will I be confident. He said, one thing have I desired of the Lord. See, what is your one thing? What can push your confidence to a level where you're confident in God, you're confident in yourself, you're confident in what God called you to do and who he called you to be. So those 4 basic levels of self-esteem, they're this. And write these down. There's healthy self-esteem, where you're confident in yourself, but you're not braggadocious. You just have a healthy confidence, and no matter what people say about you or to you, it does not rock your foundation and send you cowering to a corner and crying. Okay? Borderline insecure self-esteem. You're right on that borderline of being confident, but being shaken, being confident, but not being assured. You're right on the borderline of that area. And it's a gray area where your confidence is not always where it should be, but yet you're confident enough to keep moving forward. But any sudden rocking will push you over the borderline one way or the other. So that borderline insecure self-esteem, we want to kill that. The next one is insecure self-esteem. It's when you're insecure, you're not sure of yourself, you're not sure of your destiny, you're not sure of your lifestyle, but you can function and move forward. And so many people are pretending that they have the confidence in themselves. They're pretending that they are all that in the bag of chips. They're pretending that life is fine and they believe in themselves. They're pretending. So that insecure self-esteem will cause you to pretend, and that eventually will wear you down. Because I'm telling you, you just can't keep pretending about things and never move forward. Because in the back of your mind, you're fighting yourself. And the enemy's always fighting you in your mind. You know, when your thoughts wage war against you, this is where insecure self-esteem and borderline self-esteem are really challenged. And the 4th one, negative self-esteem. You're always saying negative things about yourself. And because you're negative about yourself, you're negative about others. And when you're negative about others, you don't see any good in anybody. Because if you don't see good in yourself, how can you see good in others? And then that other side of negative self-esteem, it will cause you to sabotage your own destiny. Now, baby, when you start sabotaging your own destiny, for instance, you're in a relationship with a wonderful person, but because you feel so negative about yourself, you do things intentionally to cause the relationship harm. So that's what negative self-esteem will cause you to do. You're always sabotaging business relationships and personal relationships. You're sabotaging your jobs. You sabotage your business because negative self-esteem will not allow you to see the good in yourself. Therefore, you cannot see the good in others. And that is such a dangerous place because now with negative self-esteem and insecure self-esteem, what you're doing is you're posturing yourself for failure. Because no matter how far you go into a thing, negative self-esteem and insecure self-esteem will not allow you to go further. You will now have a stronghold over your life. And when that stronghold of insecurity and negative self-esteem and low self-esteem, when that stronghold grabs you by the throat, let me tell you something, it will shut you down. And it will shut down your destiny, your business, your job, your relationship. It will shut you down. You cannot walk in negative self-esteem, insecure self-esteem, and even the borderline insecure self-esteem, because here's what's going to happen to you. You're going to end up walking in pride. You're going to end up walking in jealousy. You're going to walk in envy, because those things, those enemies, those deadly enemies will not allow you to see the goodness in others and celebrate their successes. Oh, I could have done that better than them. Oh, I could preach better than them. Oh, I could start a business too. And it will have you chasing the wrong dreams and chasing the wrong vision. And it will have you operating literally in a witchcraft spirit. And that's a dangerous place, because you cannot allow the negative self-esteem to run roughshod over your life. When it does, you will abandon your kids because you don't see the good in them. And I don't say physically abandon, but you will emotionally abandon them. Oh, you're going to be just like your daddy. Oh, you're not going to amount to anything. Oh, you're not going to be this, because now you're emotionally abandoning your children because you can't see the good in yourself and you can't see the good in them. So how are you going to start a business or a ministry or anything with that kind of weight and on your shoulders? You're carrying around literally 100 pounds of extra weight and baggage because of self-esteem. This is why God wants us to get rid of this so we can walk in the fullness of what he has for us. So I want to give you about 15 questions, and I hope I can get through them all. And I want you to take another sheet of paper. Now, you wrote down these borderlines, and it's going to take us 2 nights to get through it, but it's okay, because I want you to see you. Not to pretend you, and maybe you're not pretending. I'm not saying that you are, but there are elements in all of our lives that we can destroy. And certainly coming out of cancer, there were things that God had me look at within myself to get me to a place where I could be even more confident in my relationship with him, confident in my relationship with my husband, confident in my relationship with myself, because all of us are a work in progress. None of us have arrived. Let me tell you something. We have. Okay, some of your questions are going to be answered always, often, sometimes, very rarely. Other questions are going to say strongly agree, somewhat disagree, strongly disagree. Now remember, the only person going to see these answers is you, because self-esteem is important for your destiny. Self-esteem is important for your journey. Self-esteem is absolutely, positively needed for where God wants to take you. Now, the first question is, do you focus on your positive qualities and the positive qualities of others? Do you? The answer would be number 1, 2, 3, or 4. Always, often, sometimes, very rarely. Do you focus on your positive qualities, or do you always see the negative in yourself? Simple answer. I always do. I often do. I sometimes do. I very rarely do. So that's your first question. You have to focus on your positive qualities and not allow the enemy to keep pointing out all of your negative stuff. See, stinking thinking is what's keeping people from moving in the fullness of God. So how do you focus on your positive qualities or your negative qualities? Always, often, sometimes, or very rarely. That's the first question. Next question, do you base your self-esteem on what others think of you? That's the question. Do you base your self-esteem on what others think of you? Always, often, sometimes, very rarely. Because when you base your self-esteem on what others think of you, you're going to always be in approval mode, validation mode. You're going to always be looking for people to validate you and tell you that you're good, or tell you that you're all right, or tell you that you're dressed nice, or tell you that you did a good job. You're always looking for a pat on the back. So do you base your self-esteem on what other people think of you? Always, often, sometimes, very rarely. That is an important question, because this will cause you to be people pleasers. And you got to graduate. My friend wrote a book called How to Graduate from People College. You've got to literally graduate from people college so that you're not basing your self-esteem on what others think of you. You can't base your self-esteem on how many likes you get from a post that you put out there. And then if you don't get any likes, then you're crushed. Then you're mad. I'm not going to like their stuff next time, and I'm not going to like that, and I'm not going to comment on that. You cannot base your self-esteem on how many likes on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter that you receive. You must base your self-esteem on the person that God created you to be and see your qualities. So do you base your self-esteem on what others think of you? Always, often, sometimes, very rarely. Next question. Do you worry about how you look? Now, granted, all of us care about our appearance, our hygiene, all of those elements. We care about those things. But do you worry about your appearance to the point where it literally makes you sick? Then there's a problem, because that means that your self-esteem is at a place where you're not confident in who you are, because you're worried about, yes, I want to come and look nice before the people, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to give my best. I'm not going to always be checking myself in the mirror and seeing, oh, this is not good enough, and change clothes 5,000 or 6,000 times because I don't feel like I'm good enough. So do you worry about how you look? Always, often, sometimes, very rarely. You know, I care about how I look, but I'm not going to let it hinder my destiny. I'm going to give my best, and when God is pleased, God is pleased. Next question. I find it hard to believe and accept compliments. Is that you? That it's hard for you to believe when people compliment you? Oh, they're just lying. They don't mean it. They didn't mean what they said. And it's hard for you to accept compliments. People have problems accepting compliments. So in reading that statement and speaking it to yourself, because that's the only way you're going to answer it, do you strongly agree, somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree? I strongly disagree. I don't find it hard to believe or accept compliments. You know, you look at when a person gives you a compliment, thank you very much, to God be the glory, and keep it moving. You know, but you don't get stuck in that compliment trying to figure out did they really mean it, or get stuck in the compliment and, oh my goodness, they complimented me. Oh, I'm this, because you cannot allow that compliment to shape how you see about yourself. Okay? It's a compliment. Get over it and you keep it moving. Next question. Do you feel your opinion is inadequate at social gatherings? So how do you feel about your opinion? Always, often, sometimes, very rarely. So do you feel that your opinion is adequate at social gatherings? You know, when we hold conversations with people and we give our opinion, it's okay that they disagree with us. It's okay because, see, I agree to disagree. I don't have to be the authority on everything. I don't have to be the life of the party, if you will. But when I give my opinion, you respect my opinion, whether you agree or disagree. But you can't get bent out of shape because people disagree with you. Okay, so when you're in a social setting, your opinion is adequate because it is your opinion. And opinions are like a whole lot of things on our body. Everybody got one, okay? Eyes, everybody got one. Ears, everybody got them. So do you feel like your opinion is adequate at social gatherings? If you don't, that has to do with your self-esteem, because it's going to cause you to cower in a corner and not speak up for yourself. Cower in a corner and not say what you really think about a matter, because it's going to cause you to be afraid to speak up. And your opinion does matter. It doesn't matter whether I agree with you or disagree. Your opinion matters. Okay. Next, do you feel like you have to prove yourself to other people? Now, this one gets people in trouble because we are oftentimes trying to prove ourselves to people, to prove that we're good enough. And you should not have to prove yourself to people when you're already good enough, because the Bible tells you that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. That makes you good enough. That makes you more than enough. So always, often, sometimes, rarely, do you feel like you have to prove yourself to other people? You should not have to. When we have to prove ourselves to other people, that's going to get us in trouble, because we're going to always be looking for validation. We're going to always be looking to be accepted by others. So if you feel like you have to prove yourself to other people, then you might want to take a step back, not people please, take a step back, not always be running up in folks' face trying to get their approval on something, not always on Facebook trying to get your point across, not always on all of these social media sites trying to get people to like you. Because if you feel like you got to prove yourself to other people, you have low self-esteem, point blank, period. I don't have to prove myself to anyone but God. When you start trying to prove yourself to other people, you're never going to get their approval, because you're never going to appreciate. You're not going to please everybody. And everybody's not going to like you. Somebody might not like the fact I wore a red blouse today. I wore the red blouse because I felt like it. So you didn't like it with a black necklace, see? That may not please everybody. Why she got on red? She got on red because that's what she wanted to put on. So you cannot prove yourself to everybody, people. Don't even try. Next one, other than physical limitation, do you avoid social gatherings? Do you avoid going to parties? Do you avoid going to, if you're on your job, a Christmas party? Do you avoid going to social gatherings because you don't feel like you're good enough? A lot of people don't go to social gatherings because they don't feel like they're good enough. They don't feel like they have anything to contribute. They don't go to church. Church is a social gathering. Or the church has something after church, or there's a conference, and you don't feel like you're good enough, or you're smart enough, or you're adequate enough. When you start avoiding social gatherings, that may be due to low self-esteem. If you have a physical limitation and you feel inadequate because of it, that physical limitation could cause you to fall into low self-esteem. But if you have no physical limitations and you still don't, oh, I don't like crowds. Why? Is it a spirit of timidity? Being timid? God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but power, love. And one version says God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but power, love, and a sound mind. So you have to ask yourself, is it always, often, rarely, never that you avoid social gatherings? Some of us do, some of us don't. Next question. Are you happy with who you are, even when others make you feel different? Are you happy with who you are? It's a very valid question. Are you happy within yourself? Do you love the skin you're in? I love the skin I'm in, regardless of my physical limitations, regardless of the cancer, regardless of all of the things I've gone through. I am happy with who I am, and I don't care if no one else likes anything about me. God loves me, and I love me. So are you happy with who you are, even when others make you feel different? People will try to put you down to bring you down. People will try to put you down to stop your destiny. Halt your destiny in God, because there's a purpose and a plan for you. And they will literally say something ugly about you to try to stop that thing from moving forward. Now, when they try to stop you, it's a design of the devil, and it's a lie from the pit of hell. Because if you're happy with who you are, whether you're tall, short, thin, thick, red, black, green, brown, red, or yellow, it does not matter what your physical capacity is. Are you happy with yourself on the inside? Because the beauty, the Four Tops made a song called Beauty's Only Skin Deep. But baby, ugly is to the bone. So you can be ugly as sin on the inside and look real pretty on the outside. It should be the other way around. And I don't care what your physicalities are. As long as you are happy with who you are, if you're overweight, exercise. If you don't like your hair, dye it or buy some hair. I buy hair. But if you're happy, as long as you are happy with who you are, don't ever allow other people to make you feel any different about yourself. Okay? Because that's the very thing that the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to not like you. He does not want you to love you, because when you stop loving you, you're saying that God made you imperfect. You're saying that you are not good enough. You're saying that low self-esteem is so bad in your life that you can't move forward. Your physical, emotional, and psychological growth is stunted because you're not happy with who you are. If you find the things, take a piece of paper and write down what you like about yourself and what you don't like about yourself. And the things that you don't like about yourself, just change it. It's as simple as that. Just change it. We all go through all types of things from the time we're born to become adults, and all of these elements play a major part in our self-esteem or lack thereof. When you have low self-esteem, you're not going to see any good in yourself, and you're not going to see any good in anybody else, and you're not going to be happy with who you are because you're going to always be trying to reinvent yourself because you don't like who you are. And that's never going to be a healthy thing because today you're blonde and tomorrow you're brunette, the next day you're red, and then you got green, and then you're yellow and orange. It has nothing to do with your hair. Is if you don't like what you see about yourself, that makes all the difference in the world. God did not make you imperfect. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. That's what the Bible tells us. Next one, do you seem to only focus on your flaws when you look in the mirror? When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see a strong man of God staring back at you? Or do you see a weak little man that won't open up his mouth? Do you see a strong woman of God staring back at you? Or do you see a woman that has gotten older and is overweight and is not good for anything? What do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you only see your flaws? Do you see the wrinkles, or do you see the smile on your face? Do you see the hair that's thinning, or do you see the beauty of the crown that God has given you? What do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you only see the negative things? If you only focus on the negative when you look in the mirror and your flaws, you're never going to be happy with yourself because you're always trying to do something that may not be in the realm of possibility because you're not addressing the right issue. And the right issue is your self-esteem. When you address your self-esteem, people, let me tell you, then you can deal with all of the other stuff. Some people overeat because they're not happy with themselves, because they don't want to socialize, so they sit in the house and eat. And then they sit around and go, oh, I'm too fat, oh, I'm too this, or I'm too that. And then there's this big pity party, and you're the only one on the block. When you look in the mirror, you got to focus on your positive. And I remember a time when I look in the mirror and I was so unhappy in my life. Here's one of those moments. I'm taking a rabbit trail. I was so unhappy in my life when I looked in the mirror, I really couldn't look in the mirror. I looked past me. And when I looked in the mirror, all I saw was the sadness in my eyes. That was the day that I knew that I had to find the strength that only comes from God to change all of the situations that have brought me to that point. When you look in the mirror and you see the sadness in your own eyes, baby, that's the day you need to make some changes, okay? And those changes will only come when you're honest with yourself. That's why I'm giving you these questions tonight. Be honest with you. I'll never know your answers, and nobody else on this thing will know your answers unless you tell them. But you got to be happy with who? And you got to love the skin you're in. Next, and this is one of those moments, I think my self-esteem would improve if only I were more intelligent or better looking. Okay. So you want to be more intelligent? Take some classes. You want to be better looking? That's easy. Put on some makeup, comb your hair, cut your hair, do whatever needs to be done. Go to one of those personal groomers and say, help me to look better about myself. You know, when you look in the mirror, it may be the way you dress. You may be still wearing your clothes from 1970. Well, come into 2020 and change the way you dress, okay? I think my self-esteem would improve if only I were more intelligent. If you need to be more intelligent, go back to school. Take a few classes. Find those things that give you passion and purpose, because intelligence really is just a matter of how you perceive yourself. You may be the smartest person in the world and you think that you're the dumbest person in the world. But those two things are not going to shape your self-esteem. Finding what's inside of you that's making you feel this way about yourself, that's what's going to bring you forward, okay? I think my self-esteem would improve if only I were more, and you fill in the blank, if I were more confident in my business, confident in my my appearance, whatever it is, if it's something on the outside that is going to help you feel better about yourself, do it. It's the little simple things that make us feel better about ourselves. I feel that I have done things to be proud of. Now here's that moment, your aha moment. Everybody that's watching or listening, you've done something that you can be proud of. Raised your children. You started a business. You wrote a book. And you know what? You need to celebrate the things that you have accomplished in life. And those will be your self-esteem boosters. I've been doing some cleaning in the house recently. And man, I've been shredding stuff and throwing stuff away. But I found this one box that I had kept everything in. And I started reading through. I said, Lord, I remember doing that. I remember going here. I remember doing all of these things. And I said to myself, I celebrate those. I said, Lord, I've accomplished a lot in my life. And I accomplished all of these things before I got cancer. I've traveled. I've ministered to women in Africa and Barbados and a lot of the cities and states in the United States, and in Canada, and I've ministered in all of these different places, and I've been on television and radio and all of that stuff. But nothing matters if God's not pleased with it. But I celebrate the things I have accomplished in my life, because if I sit back now and do nothing else, I can celebrate those things and be proud of them. Find the things that you can celebrate about yourself and let them help build up your self-esteem. Don't always find the negative. Oh, I was married and divorced. Oh, my husband beat me. You can't celebrate that foolishness. If your husband beat you, write a book about it and help some other women come out of it. If you beat your wife, write a book about it and tell the men how to stop beating their wives. Whatever you can do to celebrate yourself. Find those things and improve on them. Find those things and make them right in your life so that you're not always looking back on them in condemnation. If you need to go and apologize to some people, apologize to them. If you need to make things right, make them right now. Don't wait until you're on your sick bed or your deathbed to try to make things right. Make them right so they don't bother you or haunt you coming through the rest of your life and into your destiny. And again, celebrate those things that you're proud of. Hey, let's see. Let's try the next. Do you consider yourself a person of worth, or at least on an equal level with others? Here's where the rubber meets the road, people. Do you consider yourself a person of worth? I do. I'm a woman of worth, and I love the skin I'm in. I am a 5'4" thick madame, and I love who I am. I am a cancer not only survivor, I'm a cancer thriver. And I can see all the goodness that God has put in me so that I can empower others. Even in my sickest moments, I could still be able to empower others, or at least equal with others. I don't ever see myself as less than others. I will never minimize or marginalize myself. You can never minimize or marginalize who you are. I don't care what you've been through. If you had a heart attack, strengthen your heart. If you got ulcers, calm yourself down. If you've been in a bad marriage, find the joy that you used to have before the bad marriage and find joy after the bad marriage. But consider yourself a person of worth. Don't let anything or anyone in your life minimize or marginalize or ostracize who you are. Because the minute you start letting people put you down, that's the minute you have already set yourself up for failure. Okay? I feel I have a number of good qualities. I've got a number of good qualities, don't you? Now, you need to put on a piece of paper your good qualities, and you need to celebrate those good qualities. Because again, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So what are your good qualities? You love to laugh. You love to make people laugh. You love to celebrate people. You love to help people. You love to work in ministry. You love to start work on your business. You love to minister to your children. Find those things that are your good qualities and celebrate them. Don't always look at the negative, and certainly don't let folks tell you about negative. You know what? That's stinking thinking. People will try to put you down because they don't like themselves. And they feel good about themselves when they can put you down. Okay? Don't do it. I wish that I could have more self-respect. Now, self-respect begins on the inside, and it's an inside out thing. Whatever elements in your life have caused you to disrespect yourself, those are the elements you need to kill. Those are the elements that you need to dig deep down inside and destroy. Whether it's abuse caused you to disrespect yourself, find it and kill it. Whether it was bad experiences on jobs or church hurt, whatever it is that caused you to disrespect yourself, you need to take a list and write those things down. And you need to do this and say this in Psalm 39. Search me, O Lord, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. What are the thoughts that are causing you to disrespect yourself? In example, you're in a crowd of people and you demoralize yourself. You're in a crowd of people and you put you down. They don't put you down. You put yourself down. And then you make excuses for the bad stuff in your life. Don't disrespect yourself. You can have self-respect and still be around people, but you've got to respect yourself first. The Staple singer said, if you don't respect yourself, ain't nobody going to give a good hoot. Nah, brother, respect yourself. You've got to respect you. If you want if you want a man to respect you, respect yourself. Keep your clothes to yourself. Men, if you want women to respect you, respect yourself. If you want people on your job to respect you, respect yourself. If you want people to respect your home, respect yourself. Set boundaries on everything so that you are not living in a place where you disrespect you and allow others, and never allow people to disrespect you. If they disrespect you or try to, then you check them at a moment's notice, okay? I do things which nurture, strengthen, and relax my body and mind. During this COVID right now, people are all discombobulated. That's why we got all of the mad Karens and folks running around talking about throwing off the mask and snatching off the mask. Is because they're not nurturing themselves, strengthening themselves, relaxing their body and their mind. You have to relax yourself in order to be in a state where you can even move forward. You've got to relax your mind and relax your body, and so that you can have clear thinking and clear thoughts. If you cannot do these things, your mind is going to be tossed and driven like this all the time, because you're not moving in the realm where you can be relaxed and comfortable and strengthened. And what that's going to do is cause you stress. Your body's going to be stressed, and your mind is going to be stressed, and everything's going to be stressed in your life. Your kids are going to be stressed out, your job, your business. Folks not going to be around you because you're always in this state of flux. So you've got to relax, even if it means stealing away and just being all by yourself and letting God tell you what's causing you all this dis-ease, not disease, dis-ease. That means being not at ease. Next, it's not about where you came from. It's about what you are made of. Now, you need to get that one in your spirit right there. It's not about where you came from. It's about what you're made of. So where you came from, you might have come from, I was born in a little town called Haytown, Missouri. Can anything good come out of Haytown, Missouri? Absolutely, I did. You might have been born in Wyandotte County. Can anything good come out of Wyandotte County? Absolutely. Just look around you at all of the great accomplishments of people that have lived in Wyandotte County. Can anything come out of Kansas City, Missouri? Can anything come out of Africa? Absolutely. It's not about where you came from. You might have just got out of prison, but it's what you're made of. So let me ask you tonight, what are you made of? Are you made of soup? Or are you made like a steak, strong, and you got to put your teeth in it? Are you made of feathers? Or are you made of a rock, the rock of our salvation, Jesus Christ? Are you walking in the power of Christ? Or are you just walking in your own power? What are you made of? That's where the rubber meets the road right there. What are we made of? We're made to be strong and mighty through God, able to pull down some strongholds, to cast down some imaginations that try to exalt itself against the knowledge of God. We're strong and mighty through God. On my own strength, I can do nothing. On your own strength, you can do nothing. There's nothing you can do in this world by yourself. You need the power of Christ to bring you through it. So we've been talking about starting businesses, and we've been talking about the grants. And I had a lady tell me, I said, well, did you go and apply for the grant? Well, no, I didn't, because I didn't really believe. Well, she didn't have to finish the sentence for me. She said, I really didn't believe. It's like, okay, right there is where the rubber meets the road. You didn't really believe. I said, well, let me tell you something, baby. I got the grant. You did? Yes, I did. Well, maybe I'll go and apply now. Well, it's too late. I just told you that me and 22 other people got the grant. But you did not believe. So therefore, you didn't go forward. See, this is one of the problems that we have when we don't believe. First of all, you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in what people are giving you. You don't believe. So it's not about, again, where you came from. It's about what you're made of. And if you made of unbelief, you got a problem. If you made of unbelief, there's something wrong right there. If you made of unbelief, you're never going to move forward in your life because unbelief is going to keep you right here. Everything I said tonight is going to go right over your head and you're going to be mad. You're going to be upset. You're not going to hear it. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. But when you grab hold to the fact that it's, first of all, it's not about where you came from. It's about what you mean. When you grab hold to the fact that you can do great things, if you only believe, when you grab hold to the fact that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, when you grab hold to the fact that you are more than a conqueror, then you can move forward and low self-esteem will not be your portion. What your portion says is, I am filled with the fullness of God. I am filled with his power and his love and his might and his strength. And I am filled with the grace and mercy of God. That's when you know you can move forward in your life. But as long as your growth is stunted and you don't believe, like the lady that said she didn't believe, she might have been one of the very people that also got a grant, but she didn't believe. So what did you do with all the information I shared with you? Did you apply for any of the grants? Well. See, wells run real deep, and so do excuses. So we have to stop making excuses about us. We got to look at us and say, this is where the rubber meets the road. And the buck stops here tonight. I'm going to look at myself and I'm going to move forward with what God has called me to do, because I'm going to look at me and I'm going to look at the fact that I am empowered for greatness and I am more than enough. I am empowered for greatness and I can do great and mighty things through Christ. It gives me the ability to move forward and see the goodness in myself. That's what we got to say to ourselves, because every ounce of fiber in our bodies says that we are more than enough. And God wants us to see the greatness inside of us so that we can move forward. We've got about 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments box, okay? Because I will answer your questions most expeditiously if I can. And I want to leave you with this. Your ability to move forward is going to be directly tied to how you see yourself. Not how I see you, not how others see you. Sandy Johnson says, I'm good enough. All right. When you see yourself as the man or woman or child of God, and that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, when you see yourself in that light, then you can really move forward, because there's so much right now that we can accomplish. Let me tell you this. You can accomplish so much right now during this pandemic that people are going to look at you and say, truly, that's the work of the Lord. Because we're not holding back, shutting back, or shutting down. We are standing strong and mighty on the word and the promises of God. And when we look at where we are based on where we're going, we can give God all the glory, because he will move us from mountain to mountain, from glory to glory, from valley to valley. And when he moves us from the valley to the mountaintop, let me tell you something. The greatness that's locked inside of us is going to shine through. The resources that he wants to give us. God's not going to be able to put all these enormous resources into our hands if we're not confident in who we are in him. God is ready to release resources. He is releasing resources. Let me back up. It's not that he's ready to release resources. He is releasing resources into our hands. How in the world do you think that so many of us who have never gotten grants before are now getting grants for our businesses and ministries and such? We're getting all of these funds that we don't even have to pay back. We don't have to give them back. And the people are sending me so many grants. It's like, oh, God, look at that. I could apply for that one. I applied for another one last night. It's like, wow, God, look at that. That's an extra $10,000. This one over here says, well, we're about to make this decision right here. And you're going to be in the first round and you're in that round. And then the other one said, well, congratulations, you got this grant. And I go, wow. That is God releasing resources into our hands because it's money that we don't have to pay back. But if you, like the lady I told you about, don't believe God, so we believe in God, but do we believe God? Do we believe God? My niece, Chelsea, I talked to her today and I said, baby, how's your prayer life? She said, Auntie, she said, I'm praying in a way that I never prayed before. She said, I realize now that I used to just talk. She said, but now I'm praying. And now it has meaning and it has substance and it has power. And you know how much that will bless you when you have that kind of testimony coming from a young woman that says, my prayers are changing. My prayers are getting stronger. My prayers are getting more powerful. See, that is the move of God in this season to touch the lives of even our young people. Sandy Johnson says, I am more than enough. Yes, you are, Doc. You are more than enough. And when we look at what God has for us in this season, people, don't let these opportunities pass you by. You know, I can teach you about grants and how to get grants and all of this stuff. But when the rubber meets the road, are you ready for the release of what God has for you in this season? Are you ready for the abundance? I am. If you're ready for the abundance, just type it in the little thing. I'm ready for the abundance of what God has for me. We always talk that scripture, oh, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. You know, we say that, but do we really mean it? We say that, but are we really walking in it? What do you think all these grants that they're giving us are coming from? Where do you think that money's coming from? It's not falling out of the sky. That's money that's been laid up for other folks that's now coming into our hands right now in this season. My husband says, I'm ready for the abundance. Amen. If you're ready for the abundance, decree and declare that thing. Sandy Johnson says, I'm ready for what God has for me. Yes, I am. They are literally throwing funds at us. Ministries. I got 3 pages of grants today. I got 3 pages of grants, all designated for not-for-profits. That is amazing that now they're throwing money at not-for-profits. That means churches and ministries and nonprofit daycares and all of these things. I got all these pages and they're sending me and I go, okay, all right, God, maybe this is another level to move in another direction. But then I got pages for businesses. They even sent me a page for women, men and women who are in India. I said, well, Lord, I don't know anybody in India, but I'm going to share it because maybe somebody reading it in India can get some of this $775,000 that they want to give women from India or Pakistan or et cetera, et cetera. These are the things that God is laying before us. But we have got to be in position, people. We've got to be confident enough, bold as a lion, mighty through God, to pull down the strongholds and believe that God is going to bless us like this. It's not going to fall out of the sky, but we've got to be in position to believe in ourselves that we can put the rubber to the road and say, God, I believe you're going to bless this and bless the work of my hands. You're going to bless this paperwork. You're going to bless this ministry. You're going to bless this business. You're going to bless this startup. I believe that God is going to do great and mighty things through me in this season of COVID pandemic. But you've got to kill off all the self-doubt. That's like the lady that said, I didn't believe. That right there is just a hinge of some low self-esteem right there that I didn't believe. But I believe. And I believe God is going to do even greater things All we got to do is line up. If you're ready to line up, and I pray that you are, there's Mr. Craven said, I feel like Elvis Presley. There's a whole lot of shaking going on. Yes, it is, Mr. Craven. There's a whole lot of shaking going on. And God is doing the shaking. And allow him to continue to do the shaking. You know, this season is our season. This is going to be, it's the worst of times because, yes, COVID is a horrible thing. And I feel for all the lives that have been lost. And I feel for all of the people that are hurting. And I feel for the fact that our government is failing us at every hand. Let me tell you this. I promise you, God has never failed us. And God will never fail us. God is right there ready to do exceeding abundantly above all that we could ask or think according to the power working in us. So again, what power is working in you? Is it the power of the true and living God? Or is it the power of insecurity, inferiority, and low self-esteem? Because there you go. It's not about where you came from, it's about what you're made. So what are you made of? Are you made of the power and might of the true and living God that's ready to do some great things in your life and show the world what it means to be sold out for you? Show the world what it means to stand in this pandemic and become the overcomer that we are called to be. If that is you, then I pray that some of this, you grab hold to this and you allow it to saturate your spirit like never before. Grab hold to it and don't let go. Grab hold to that vision, that dream, whatever God has planted in you, grab hold to it and allow the Lord to move on you like never before. Because this is the season where God is going to show himself really strong in the church, in our homes, in our businesses, in our marriages, every area of our lives. But we got to kill the stuff keeping us from being fulfilled through his promises. That's what I got to leave you with. So what are you made of tonight, people? My time is about up. I got about a minute to go. And guess what? I am blessed to be here today. I'm blessed. And I thank God that you all thought it well to be a part of this episode of The Exchange. And thank everyone for watching. I thank my niece Charlie, who says, hello, Auntie. I thank my niece Tiffany, who says, I'm ready for the abundance that God has for me. And yes, you are. You all are ready to do some great things through God. Young women standing strong and mighty through God. So if you want to contact me, I'm going to leave you with my website and my email address, which is write me at jackiehadnot.com. That's my email. Or you can visit my website at www.jackiehadnot.com and go out and look at any of the books that I've written. And there's great things in store for all of us. Go out and find my book, A Woman of Worth, I Am More Than Enough. And it's on Amazon.com. Okay? Go out and do that for me. Bless my heart today. Bless my heart today. I love you all. My sister Sandy says, God bless you, Apostle. That's my sister. That's my baby girl right there. So thank you all again for watching. I'll be with you next week for part 2 of Empowered for Greatness. I am more than enough, okay? You all be blessed, and I will be with you next week. Bye.
Who am I? I'm an author, a teacher, a psalmist, a visionary. I approach the world with the eyes of an artist, the ears of a musician, the heart of a psalmist, and the soul of a writer. I see rainbows where others see only rain, and possibilities where others only see problems. I I love spring flowers, a summer breeze, the beauty of the leaves as they fall, and snowflakes gently falling on my face. Who am I? I'm a woman of worth.
GKH Furniture Repair and Restoration is a leader in providing expert furniture repair, on-site, in your home or office. Our advanced techniques and patented materials restore furniture to like new condition. Our areas of expertise include furniture refinishing, furniture repair, commercial furniture, and refinishing. For your convenience, we are available during regular business hours as well as weekends and evenings. Visit our website at www.gkhfurniturerepair.com or call 816-591-0946. GKH Furniture Repair and Restoration, professional, experienced and trusted for your furniture repair needs.